Hi, folks. I'm Steve Judd. I've been doing astrology a very long time, not as long as my friend Penny, who I'll introduce you to in a moment. We're doing a 3-day, 3.5 day residential weekend at the end of February in the North Somerset Hills. It's called Decoding the Divine, and we're going to be talking about a lot of different subjects astrologically. Many of us will be talks, others will be interactive sessions with you, the audience. And in a minute, I'm going to hand over to Penny, and she's going to introduce herself and talk about the chart of the event. We hope you can join us. Over to you, Penny.
Hi, everybody. I don't want to go through a whole list of my age-old credentials. I think most people know them. And if not, well, you'll get to know them when we all meet in February. So I'm going to start really by the evolution of why this conference came about. Steve and I had done a video where we both came together and talked about what we feel is important for astrology. And out of that came the idea we need to do more on this kind of in this area. So we just had to find somewhere to hold a conference. We had to find the dates that the conference hall was available to us for. So it was all in the lap of the gods, so to speak. And only when we'd got everything that we felt we could work with did we set up the chart. And when we saw this chart for that day, it was so fitting for what we're going to be talking about, our conception of what is interesting in astrology, where we stand at astrology. And I'm just going to quickly show you that chart, and we'll leave it up on the screen just for a little minute because it takes time to kind of orient yourself to my figures here and what they look like. But what you'll see from this chart is that Neptune is bang on the midheaven, and it is conjunct the north node opposite the south node. And not only does this make Neptune the figure over on this particular conference. This is the theme. This is the nature of what we're going to be doing. It is the all-powerful principle, if you like. But it's caught up in these configurations, which I've drawn out in red and blue. Now, don't worry yourself too much with the nitty-gritty of these. We'll perhaps get into this at the conference itself. And it certainly plays into the first talk that I'm going to be giving, which is called Decoding the Divine, which broadly looks at how astrology works. And I'm going to go right back to the 6th century BC and have a look at Pythagoras and the harmony of the spheres, bringing it right up to date with synchronicity, Jung's theory of synchronicity, and gravitational waves. And what we need with astrology, and what is astrology really all about? It's both a science and an art. So we need a strong representation of Saturn to keep us on point and also dealing with the scientific side of things. But we also need Neptune, that intuitive, inspirational, divine resonance that allows us to move forward really with astrology. It's the two things together. And I think certainly that's going to be part of my first talk. But I also want to say, in regard to looking at this particular pattern and seeing that its significance involves, or the participants involve Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, all three planets discovered after 1781. It really plays into where we stand as humanity right now. All the powerful changes we're undergoing, all the deep unrest and political change. This is also reflected in where astrology stands at this point in time. Astrology is growing. The interest in astrology is growing. And as always, when this happens, you get a lot of random ideas and a lot of things happening that are sometimes just a lot of noise and not a lot of content. But what is interesting here is when you see this picture in this horoscope, is that it is in essence what Steve and I do differently in some ways, individually, is to be real with astrology, but to embrace its more spiritual and evolutionary kind of development. So, yes, we stand, and this conference is a sort of marker of this, at an important point for humanity and also at an important point for astrology. So, Steve, I'm going to hand over to you.
I would also add to, whilst also looking at the Neptune, Uranus, Pluto, and Saturn, we also have a lovely moon in Sagittarius and Mercury square Jupiter. So there will be lots of talking, lots of communication, and hopefully lots of laughter and a lot of fun as well. So each night we'll be giving group sessions. Both Penny and I will be holding individual group sessions where there's going to be a lot of interaction with the audience. But the actual talks themselves will be not so much interactive, apart from the questions at the end, which we will allow plenty of time for. So we're each going to do 2 talks per day over the Friday and the Saturday, and talks together on the Sunday. So first of all, on the Friday, Penny's going to open with her talk at 9 a.m. on decoding the divine. Do you want to say any more about that, Penny?
Not really. I think I've done enough. I think, in a way, I tossed up whether I should be talking about Neptune and the bridge to the beyond first, but I went with decoding the divine because just getting under our belts this whole mysterious world of astrology and the 2 different routes to understanding it, and what evidence do we have, and how far have we come, or have we retained some of those early beliefs? So I think it sets the stage for us, the astrology of the weekend, really, or the 4 days.
Later on in the Friday morning, I'm going to be doing an hour-long talk with questions, hour 15-minute talk with questions on Chiron, on how to work consciously with Chiron, not just looking at issues around healing and wounding, but seeing Chiron as a kind of catalyst for us to become more integrated, assimilated, and holistic in ourselves and in our world. And there will be questions on this as well. Then we'll have break. Then we'll have lunch.
Okay, so my second talk on that day is about Neptune, the bridge to the divine. And I want to set the stage with how, we understand Neptune's principles, going a little tiny bit into mythology, but not too much, because where I want to go with this a little bit more is the all-important Neptune-Saturn conjunction, which is going to happen officially in February of 2026, but they're going to be within 13 minutes of each other in the July of 2025. So we'll be feeling that Saturn Neptune influence. So I want to talk a lot about that, individually, collectively, what it means in terms of global development. So a very full and rounded journey through Neptune land, really.
And then after that, in the mid-late afternoon, I'm going to be doing an hour and a quarter talk on how we actually use transits. Transits, the movement of a planet in the sky to positions of geometric accuracy with the planetary positions in your horoscope, and what this means in terms of cause and effect and events, whether it's at a daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly level. So that's going to be a really interesting hands-on session on how to use astrology efficiently and effectively.
Well, in a way, I sort of take on. Oh, have you finished, Steve? I'm so sorry. Did I cut you off?
Of course, yes.
I have cut you off, or I should speak. Okay, so yes, I'm in a way going to be continuing this theme when we get to Saturday, because my talk for the Saturday morning is going to be foretelling the future. And I'm going to again attempt the impossible, which is to look at all the different ways of how astrologers foretell the future. And to that end, because I only have an hour and a quarter, I'm going to have a little pamphlet that you can all have, which will give you the basic tenets of each of these various principles. I'm only just going to skim the surface. But again, I want to talk about how we need to really look uh, at what's coming ahead, because here we are in 2024, 2025, and even attempting to look at where the world was going in, let's say, 1996, we couldn't have imagined artificial intelligence, all these things. So it is very difficult to really foretell the future in terms of very, very specific events and developments in different countries and all of this. And we, in a way, do follow in the steps of Nostradamus, who used kind of four-line stanzas of doggerel and anagrams in order to give a picture of the future as he saw it, based on the astrology, which he knew perfectly well. If I'm talking 200, 300 years in the future, then for heaven's sake, I've got this image of this fire or whatever it is. So he did his best to give us some kind of indication about the future. So I want to have a look at all of this and get you very excited, really, about what astrology means when we do look at the future. And yes, so that's talk number 3.
And whereas on the Sunday morning, I'll be concluding the Sunday morning with a talk on Pluto. I have been working ever deeper and ever stronger with Pluto in the last couple of years. I've been doing a lot of seminars, lectures, broadcasts on Pluto, and I'm trying to embrace the idea of Pluto not only being about the more well-known archetypes of death and rebirth and transformation, but also embracing the psychological and the idea of the dark feminine, and using Pluto as a kind of gateway into helping us work with our own unconscious and subconscious in a way that helps us become a lot more integrated and assimilated. So I'm going to be looking at Pluto over the period of from its discovery in 1930 through to, projectively, 2030.
Okay. Well, I'm on Saturday, Steve. I don't know about you. On
Oh, yeah.
Sunday, I
Saturdays,
have
yeah.
us talking futures together. So I'm
Yeah.
still on Saturday. See what I
Yeah.
mean about Neptune?
And it's a Mercury retrograde while we're
And it's a Mercury
talking.
retrograde while we're
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
this.
yeah. Yeah.
So, yes, my 4th talk is the astrology of relationship synastry. And I know that some of you will know, but others of you may not. My first book was about the astrology of relationship synastry. And I put forward a lot of ideas in that were very contrary to the thoughts of the time. So anyway, we're talking 40 years on from that first book. And what is so interesting is how so many of those initial principles hold true today. And what I most want to do, I think, is to give you a guideline. And I'm going to focus really on love relationships, because those are the relationships that dominate our lives. And I can't do all kinds of relationships. We're just going to focus on love relationships. And I think what I want you to be able to come away with at the end of that is some understanding of what will give you a very, very quick appraisal of does this relationship have legs or does it not? And I'll give you a hint of that. You need to have the angles of the chart involved. And if you have the angles, all 4 angles of one chart meshing with all 4 angles of the other chart, your relationship has legs. But again, I'll give a little pamphlet with this so that you have your own sort of step-by-step ability to look and check your own relationships out.
And then later in the afternoon on the Saturday at 4 p.m., I'm going to be giving my final solo talk of the event, I'm going to be looking at sexuality in with astrology from a 21st century perspective, looking not only at Venus and Mars, but how all the other planets have their sexual components, and particularly looking at the influence of some of the minor asteroids that in recent years I found really helpful in defining attitudes towards different manifestations of gender. And in this day and age, we have so many different genders as the asteroid goddesses have come in, that this should be a fascinating idea of expanding our ideas on sexuality and gender.
Oh, that sounds so interesting. I'm going to have to attend all your talks, Steve.
Oh, I shall be in the background for yours, Penny. I shall be making notes and perhaps asking difficult questions at the end. But
Oh, thank you. Well, what would life be without difficult questions? And
indeed,
who else but us tends to get them and answer them? We don't finesse them. We deal with them.
you
The
get straight,
elephants in the living room are always present with us.
you get it straight from the lip with us. Yes. Yeah.
Um, Something else that you mentioned, Steve, at the beginning when you talked about, how the days would unfold. I think when we were talking, you were talking a little bit about Qigong.
Qigong. Yes.
Qigong. And I'm not sure everybody knows what that
Now,
is.
we've arranged for a Qigong master, a friend of mine, Peter Tabb, to come over from Ireland to do Qigong every morning. And Qigong is similar but different to Tai Chi, in that whereas Tai Chi is all around the posture of the body and the meridians of energy that flow through the body as a result of those different postures, Qigong is more about the way those energy patterns actually manifest and empower the body, particularly focusing on the navel and the area just below the navel. So there's a slightly more energetic feel, conscious energetic feel about Qigong than there is with Tai Chi, but they are similar.
Well, that's really helpful. I hate to say that I was just such an ignoramus. I didn't really know about it, but and will I get up at 7 for that? Well, we have to wait and see.
We'll see, yes. And can I also comment that in the evening, we will be having individual sessions, both Penny and I, where we'll be taking questions from the audience on all things astrological.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just like an astrological feast, isn't it? I
It
mean,
is. And the final dessert, if you like, of this feast will be on the Sunday before we leave, when myself and Penny will be doing a couple of talks on how we see astrology as developing over the next few years and what that means for the planet. So that should be something a little bit outside the box. I think that will be quite stimulating.
exactly. And it follows really this the whole theme of the conference, decoding the divine, I think. And yes, astrology certainly where it's going in the future,
Talking
where we're
future.
going in the future,
Yeah.
um, is a really important issue. But anyway, that's for us to discuss in a few months' time.
Yeah, 11 weeks, something
I
like
know. It's
that.
very
Getting close to it.
exciting.
We
I
still
don't.
we still have a few slots left. We're nearly sold out, but there's still a few slots left. So if you're interested and you want to come, just get in touch, and sooner the better, because this will sell out. And we're really looking forward to seeing you all there. And we're going to have an astrological extravaganza.
Yeah, and I am really excited about this. And often I'm too busy to be excited about anything, but this really, I'm looking forward to meeting everybody. Some of you I know because you're either my clients or my students who I've never actually met physically, and of course all the new people I don't know. It's yes, it's going to be, as you say, an extravaganza and something I think that everybody will get quite a lot out of in different ways.
We will be filming the event, and the individuals who attend will get free copies of that film. So you'll be able to review this forever if you wish.
Okay, so do you think we're done, Steve? Do you think
I think
we
we're done, Penny. I think we've given
good?
a good synopsis.
Good.
And
Well,
I,
I better get back to work. 'Cause all
yeah,
I've
me,
got to
me
say.
too. I've got clients to attend to, and I look forward to seeing you in person in 11 weeks' time. And I
Yeah,
look forward to
me too.
seeing you all out there in 11 weeks' time.
Lots of love. Lots of love to you, Steve. Lots of love to everybody.